You are welcome to yet another episode of HN What's Your Say? The #1 listening show, where we discuss important issues with important people like you. We are still featuring R. Kelly. Jennifer Bonjean, a while back filed a motion to Judge Ann Donnelly contesting several of the charges that were imposed on her client R. Kelly, and requested that due to the various inconsistencies and loopholes in the case, her client be acquitted, or retried at the minimum. One of the charges R. Kelly's attorney is focusing on is the RICO Act violation that claims Robert made use of an organized criminal enterprise, comprised by his staff to commit the alleged crimes as per the September 2021 trial in Brooklyn. According to Bonjean, the prosecution evidence to prove that R. Kelly indeed had an enterprise that helped him did not suffice, especially since there was not enough to show that the people he worked with in promoting his music business were at any one time aware, and in agreement that anything they did for the R&B king was designed to aid any form of criminal activity. A prerequisite before one can assume an enterprise. If someone booked a ticket for him to travel, for example, a service every star gets, how does that make it an enterprise? Government responded, turning her request for either acquittal or retrial down, and suggesting that in their interpretation of the RICO Act, it does not necessitate that the other members of the assumed enterprise be aware of what they are doing. For as long as there are other people involved and it leads to criminal activity, this is enough proof for an enterprise. Government's response to her plea did not only leave Jennifer Bonjean laughing from the inside, but also left the ordinary person who understands just a bit of law wondering what kind of lawyers are representing the government, and providing such wrong advice that will eventually ashame Brooklyn District Court Judge Ann Donnelly, when the case is eventually reviewed in the Supreme Appellate Court. In her response, Jennifer Bonjean, she rubbishes government's interpretation of the law, giving tangible examples of cases that have been dealt with in the past similar to R. Kelly's, such as that of Roger Ailes, the fallen founder of Fox News empire, who in July 2016 was sued by broadcast journalist and television personality Gretchen Carlson for sexual harassment. According to Jennifer Bonjean, if the government's interpretation of what equates to RICO Act violation is correct and consistent, it would mean that the entire Fox News staffing during the reign of Roger Ailes should have been considered part of his enterprise. Anyone among these who could have booked the lunches at which he met Carlson and air tickets for his travels that enabled him make enough money to fund his supposed unpleasant behavior would be implicated as part of his enterprise to commit crime. Bonjean used this example and a few more that involve white millionaires who were never subjected to RICO violation charges, and asked why government selectively chose to apply this charge on Robert Sylvester Kelly, probably because he is a black actor this time round. Taking a deeper look into Bonjean's way of thinking will make you imagine that we are probably living in a country where a single law will apply for some people and not for others. Where a single government can deliberately choose to interpret the law in a way that makes it convenient for the actors to implement whatever they want to see happen. Like deprive R. Kelly his right to a fair trial. They simply bend the rules to pass their personal agenda, she says. In summary, Bonjean says the government concedes that it failed to prove an enterprise, when it offered no evidence that the defendant's various employees over the course of 2 decades engaged in coordinated activity, in order to jointly achieve a common fraudulent purpose. And that as summarized by the government in its opposition papers, the defendant's employees only participated in a variety of tasks that supported his relationships, which was clearly not illegal, and not that they participated in activities for the purpose of supporting any form of illegal conduct. Because the government failed to prove that members of the so-called defendant's inner circle acted jointly to achieve a common fraudulent or illegal scheme, defendant must be acquitted of all RICO charges. According to Megan, I also fail to understand how the government prosecution interprets the RICO Act. It looks like they chose their interpretation with the sole purpose of making R. Kelly pay a big price with the longest possible sentence that he does not deserve. One wonders when the government started caring so much, that it will implicate a person innocent of a crime in the name of serving justice to those it claims to care so much about. Or did it start the caring only when the R. Kelly case came before them? If they chose not to apply the RICO Act with past alleged offenders such as the Fox News boss, why should this act be special for Robert Kelly? Or does the act have a clause that we do not know of which says, apply only when the defendant is black? According to Michael Smith, If I was working with the judicial system of this country, this would be my perfect time to submit my resignation. I definitely wouldn't accept to work for an organization which plays double standards. They cannot be choosing where and when to apply the RICO charges basing on how they feel about the defendant. The defendant being bad is not enough reason to pin charges on him like that. Just like Bonjean suggests, there was simply no evidence of an enterprise like the prosecution insists. Unless the meaning of the word enterprise changed overnight. There has to be joint effort and purpose for an enterprise to exist. Without a common goal, there is no enterprise. If there had been one, I am sure it wouldn't be R. Kelly alone that the accusers placed on the spot. It's just impractical to imagine that there can be an enterprise, and only one person committed all the crimes mentioned. If the institutions of justice are choosing to take a new path only because they've encountered a new special defendant, then why assume we have a single court for all? Why don't we create a special court for people of color and understand that we are indeed isolated by our legal system, and that our fate can be uniquely different from that of the other races? But if our nation still boasts of equal rights no matter the race, they need to check this before it escalates into a racial barrier in our country. You just can't judge us differently. It's not acceptable. According to Cheryl Mosley, I hope and pray R. Kelly gets released. A handsome man and star simply taken advantage of by women throwing themselves at him. How many stars can tell the story? Almost 100%. The thing that annoyed me the most was the Surviving R. Kelly movie that was premiered right before the trial. Shame on everyone that is involved in this rather ugly witch hunt. Sounds more like a malicious game of take him down. Nothing close to an attempt to serve justice to anybody. I rest my case. If you wish to take part in a live interview on this channel discussing any of these topics, let us know by emailing us on sashahnnewsroom@gmail.com for scheduling. That is all we had for you today on HN What's Your Say? To keep updated whenever we post a new video, subscribe to this channel now. Also remember to hit the bell icon and enable notifications. And feel free to share your opinions with us in the comment section below, and let us know if you would like us to publish your views in our next release. We value all our subscribers' opinions.